Ladies and gentlemen, can I please have your attention? And I need all of you to stop what you're doing and listen.
I just got three things to say. God bless our troops. God bless America. And gentlemen, start your engine!
Are you ready?
It's showtime, everybody! Showtime!
It's awesome!
Oh my God! Okay, it's happening. Everybody stay calm.
What's the procedure, everyone? What's the procedure?
Stay calm!
Welcome to the fucking show.
All right, and we are live. So, dude, Greg Tarr, number 45 on the national champions, number 144 team. Dude, congratulations on the win, my man.
Thank you. It was a long time coming. Past few years, it's kind of been like we were getting there, and finally got it done. But
yeah,
what's crazy is I feel like we're already getting overshadowed by the Lions. We had about 4 days, then it's like, oh, Lions win. It's pandemonium, but that was awesome to watch too.
I mean, I can definitely say, as a Michigan fan and as a Lions fan, just, the state of Michigan and Detroit are, still happy about the fact that you guys won the national title. So that there's no, being like, oh, Michigan won the national title, but look at the Lions though. I don't think anybody's saying that. We're just happy that you guys won. We want you guys to celebrate the victory and keep doing what you're doing. And, it's just a bonus, the fact that you got the Lions coming out with that win last night. And, but I could definitely say the Lions win last night was too close compared to your guys' win against Washington.
Yeah. Lions game, I was sweating a little bit. We were all watching downstairs, and it was just like, we were all like, oh, but
yeah,
it's great.
Dude, but I mean, there were so many things that I wanted to ask you. I mean, first of all, what is it like to be a Michigan Wolverine football player?
It's crazy. Like being from Michigan, growing up a Michigan fan, it's like a dream come true. And like, I've kind of gotten used to it now, being a senior, being around it for long enough. But I mean, I remember that first time walking in there for like a visit, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is like the Taj Mahal of football to me. Like walking through, seeing the trophies, seeing the guys that were like names, right? Seeing Aiden Hutchinson for the first time, just being like, holy cow, this guy's huge. Like, it's just, it's so cool. And it's like such a blessing to be able to do it like in my home state. It's just, I wouldn't trade it for the world. There's really nothing better than it.
Dude, that's awesome. And so like, what's your relationship like with Coach Harbaugh?
It's great. He's an interesting guy, as you can tell in the media, but like, he really is a player's coach. He's done a lot of stuff to advocate for players, getting paid and doing that, as like the media says. And like, he's a quirky guy, but he's just like, he's infectious and all around. Like he's a guy that I'm very thankful to have in my life as a coach. And, I know I can go to him whenever I need something.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, one thing's for sure with Coach Harbaugh, I mean, he's a character. I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, when he put on those shades during the trophy acceptance, oh my goodness. I'm like classic Harbaugh.
Yeah. He's just like, if I could describe him in one word, it's just like unapologetic. Like he's just himself, but what's crazy. Like, I don't think he gets enough credit for this. He's like freakishly smart too. Like not even just like in football, like he'll write out like these like 3-page letters to us that are like so incredibly like articulate and like well thought out and well written. And it's like, it's crazy. Like he's just an insane guy. And then like, I don't know if you saw it, but during the trophy ceremony on the Big Ten Network, he like rips off this like monologue of like Shakespeare.
Yeah.
And he's done it like 3 times. And he's just got it memorized. And I'm like, dude, when do you have time to do this, first of all? And it's just like, he's just such an interesting guy to be around all the time. You never know what's going to happen with him. Never.
Absolutely. And it's, and I'm sure a bunch of people catch this on camera, but his facial reactions are on the sideline are hilarious.
Oh my.
And just iconic.
Yeah.
Just yeah, exactly.
It's great.
Oh, that's amazing. And so now that you're a senior, are you going to play one more year, or what's the plan?
So I have 2 more years of eligibility.
Okay.
Which is crazy with COVID and a redshirt year. So planning on sticking around here for a 5th, maybe a 6th. I don't know. I'm not like beating at the door to get into, the business world and do other things. And I'm just enjoying it. It's fun. It's nice winning too. Like my first year was that 2-4 season during COVID.
Yeah.
And that was the first time I had ever been on a team in any level that was like a losing team.
Yeah.
And it was just weird. Like, because it was hard. Like, we didn't know what was going on, COVID. And then to have it turn around the way it did was just like the coolest thing ever to be a part of and see the progression of it all.
Yeah. And the growth and everything. Yeah. Because, you guys battled. I mean, you guys have had some tough breaks, coming to this moment. And, it's literally like a mountain to where, you just keep climbing, you keep climbing, you keep climbing. You may slip and everything like that, but as long as you keep a good grip, you'll at least make it to the top. And you guys have made it to the top of that mountain now. Yeah. So which is awesome. So talk to me about, like, I think everybody wants to know, like, from a player's perspective, what was going through everybody's mind during the national championship?
Oh man. Well, I think during the game, we all just knew like, okay, so like the Rose Bowl game, right?
Yeah.
That one was a little bit scarier.
You have no idea. I mean, from the players to the fans, like, I feel like that was everybody's like, we better play like dogs because, they will not bend over and let us go right through. So,
Well, and that's the thing too, like with our team is we had done it the years before. Like, we've gotten to the point and like we've always kind of like let ourselves down.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this year was finally the year, like we had the guys on our team that were just like, we will do anything to win a game. And it's like, we just had that, like, kind of just trust in each other. And like, this is it. Like, this is our last time to do it. And we did it. And then the national championship was, it was pretty funny, actually. Like, I can speak from a specialist perspective, which is a little bit different.
Right.
It was like, it was just another game, which was nice. Like, we got in our rhythm quick, and just being able to get out there and do our thing and score quick and just be okay. Like, we can do this. This is another game. It was cool. But I mean, that stadium was rocking. It was probably, I would say, it might have been the loudest place I've played.
Okay.
Ohio State last year was pretty loud too.
Yeah.
I remember standing up on the benches on the sideline that first drive, and my helmet was like shaking. It was so loud. And I was like, whoa, like, this is different.
But that's nuts. Now, what was it like, against Ohio State this year?
I mean,
was
same
it still
thing.
that same was it that still the same rattle and everything, or
being a home game, it's that same rattle, but it's almost like a more comforting one. Because they're cheering for you. It's like, okay, like, we got fans here, everyone's screaming, it's great, but it's like when we're on offense, everyone quiets down a little bit. Like, it's nice. But like when we were playing at the Shoe last year, and I was playing last year too, I was a starter for that second half of the season. It was like,
right,
oh, this is a hostile crowd. You had people saying some things that you wouldn't, want to be told all the time. So
right.
But yeah, it was so cool. Like, that national championship game, I'll think about that for the rest of my life. Like, that confetti coming out and then just being like, oh, like, this is it. Because like every single game this year was like, okay, we won a game, but like, it's just one step. Like, we had a sign in our weight room this big screen in the middle of it that says, you know, every day matters, but only 13 of them count. You know, and then once we made the playoffs, it's like 14 count, and then day 15. So it was like day 15, like that's the last game we have for the year. And then once it was done, I was like, oh my gosh, like there's no more to do. Like we did it. Like we're at the top of the mountain. Like this is great. And then now it's like in a week we start working out for the next season. So
Jeez.
we just
The
jumped
grind
off
don't
the mountain
stop.
and we're just going
Yeah.
right back up now. But
Yeah,
it
you're like,
was-
let's do this again. Let's continue that
Yeah.
battle again. Let's go.
yeah, exactly.
I love
It's
it.
like-
That's awesome.
I mean, and after that parade too, it's like
oh my gosh, yeah.
that parade was something else. That was probably
Yeah.
the coolest thing. It was so cool. It was.
What was
It was
probably the
wild.
coolest moment about that parade?
Oh man, I mean, it was like at the beginning of it, we didn't really know what it was going to be. Like they just kind of like loaded us on buses and they're like, all right, like you guys are going to get in the back of these pickup trucks and just kind of ride along. We're like, okay, cool. Like it's going to be fun. It'll be quick. And then our driver, actually, I played golf with him before, Jim, and he's like, hey, you want to like connect to the like Bluetooth, get some music on? I'm like, yeah, sure. Let's get music. We're all kind of jumping in the back, all the specialists. And then someone like came up to me and they're like, hey, like, do you want a shot? And I'm like, oh, like, I asked our like operations guy, I'm like, hey, what's the rule on these shots? He's like, if I don't see it, I don't know you did it. And so we were doing that and we were just driving down and we didn't know how many people were going to be there because it was so cold. Right.
Yeah.
And then we turn the corner. We're right by the Union and we turn down State Street to go south towards the building. And you just see thousands of people lined up, like all the way down. And people were throwing us like Diet Coke cans and beer. We're just shocking them, just jumping around. It was like, it was so cool because like we get to interact with fans after the game, but you never really get to like talk to them and high five them like in the moment. So that was the coolest thing, like seeing all the little kids right there and like being able to point at them and kind of get them going. Like it was so much fun. Like it was great. And just being with the guys too, just knowing like all like the work, all the hours in the weight room, all the hours in film, meetings, practice, like it's paid off. And like, this is the culmination of it right here. It was great.
Dude, that's awesome. And I mean, I just from the videos and the pictures that I saw on like social media, like it looked so much fun for everybody. And then you guys went into the basketball stadium. Am I correct on that one?
Yeah. Yeah.
And then you again the different speeches that not only did the players made, but that coach made. I mean, everything was very impactful and just showed how much you guys cared about this season, and how much you guys wanted this so badly. And and I'm sure you've heard this before. Winning games isn't just about the plays or anything like that. It's about who wants it more.
Yeah.
And I mean, you could definitely see it every single game. I mean, watching you guys when you guys played Rutgers, you guys wanted it bad. Like you guys were hungry, and I mean and just the energy of not only the team, but I think just the whole community around you guys wanted it, because I mean it hadn't been since '97 since you guys have won a championship. So the fact that everybody was just hungry, and from the fans to the players, I mean, it was absolutely amazing. But I mean, the different speeches, especially Zach's speech was something, very special, because I mean, in that moment alone at home was goosebumps. I mean, I'm just thinking about it, I'm getting goosebumps now, and just how everybody rallied around him and the team and everything like that. I mean,
It was unbelievable.
Yeah. So, speaking of Zach, like, what is he like? Like, what's he like in the locker room? What's he like, outside the locker room?
Well, I'll start off by saying there's no one in that locker room that I cannot speak so highly. Like, they're all just, every single guy in that team is like the definition of just like a good guy. Like, you can just count on him. Like, Zach, I've been fortunate enough to like be around him a good amount, just being in the same grade, and we've done some like business internships together. And like he's just like such a good guy. Like he's just nice. He's funny, you know. Like and he like he's kept his morale up even after the injury. Like he's a solid dude. And like his whole family is, you know, his mom's a team mom. She's always around. And like first off, the whole family's athletes. You know, like his brother plays at Notre Dame. I think his sister's going to play lacrosse somewhere. Like family athletes, unbelievable.
Right.
But he's just like, just a solid. Like you would. That's a guy that like, whenever I see him, it's like you're just happy to see him. You know, he's just a happy guy, guy. Yeah, it's great. But like I said, there's no one on that team where it's like you don't want to talk to him. Everyone's just cool.
Yeah.
It's really cool. It really is. It's such a family. And like, I think this is like it's perfect because all those guys are gonna leave now, right? Like, this was their last chance, and I'm so glad that like we got to experience that together because we've all put in so much work, but like those guys up front are like they're like the tip of the spear when it comes to like who we are because they're just I mean the best line in the country, I would say.
Yeah.
No matter what, like.
Absolutely. I mean, Keegan, he like he looks intimidating, but he looks like such a fun guy to hang out with.
Dude, he's hilarious. He's so funny. Like he's just kind of like a big like goofball, but he's like, I mean, when he has to be serious, he can be serious.
Oh,
I remember, it was first year playing Ohio State in the snow home. So what, 3 years ago? I remember. When Roman Wilson caught that pass, and then he kind of got tangled up with the DB, and then all the linemen like walked over to him, and like Keegan was right there, and he was just like he was standing over the guy, and I was like, oh my gosh, like I would freak out if that was me because he's a mountain of a man, just
yeah,
huge.
he is.
But yeah,
absolutely.
All those linemen. I mean, like if you're a lineman, like you just kind of like automatically pass the vibe check. You're just a cool guy, like you're funny.
Mm-hmm.
And like you gotta have the license to really say whatever you want because no one can do anything to you. So.
Exactly. Yeah. So what about now you said that you had played with Hutch and you know what before he went to the Lions, like what was he like in the locker room?
He was a lead by example guy, you know, just high motor every day. I remember every day like seeing him doing his like pre-workout routine. Pre-practice routine is just always the same. Like I mean, you see with the Lions, he's a motor and he just goes high energy on the field. And like, that's who he is. Like he's just himself and he's just a freak when he gets out there. And I mean, you saw it like, I think it was 3 years ago again in that Ohio State game where he was like going up against, I think it was the left tackle at the time. He was like pointing him out right before the play, pointing him out, and then just bulldozes him. And like, that's like,
yeah, that was awesome.
He's just, yeah, I mean, he's crazy. But yeah, he was one of those guys that it was like, maybe not the loudest guy or the most vocal, but like take any 15 seconds of that practice, any practice, and he's doing exactly what he needs to do every single time. Just a workhorse.
Yeah. And you know, of course, you got your specialties guys. You know, you got Wagner, right?
Yeah, Wags.
Yeah, you got all those guys. What's it like being a part of that squad?
Oh, it's awesome. The guys are. It's a really fun group to be a part of. Like, I remember coming in and it was like Quinn Nordine, Jake Moody, Brad Robbins. Obviously, it's just like it's such a tight knit group because. You know, we got meetings for 3 hours, but you can't really meet for 3 hours with special teams. So we do a lot of stuff just together, like hanging out, and it's just a fun group. Like it's always kind of the interesting conversations being had. And, you know, and two, it's like, we always kind of have to have each other's back and be able to kind of calm everyone down. And it's interesting. So like the national championship game, everyone's getting super excited, super rowdy. And like, we kind of have to hang back, and like, you'll see it in every game. If you look now, everyone will be up cheering, and then like the specialists will kind of just be like sitting on a bench, just kind of like staying to ourselves because you can't get super hyped up in the moment and then be like, oh, I gotta go and do something. Like, yeah,
I gotta go kick a field goal. like the most important field goal. And so I get it. Yeah. To where you got
Yeah.
to keep your composure the whole entire game until it hits 0. Yeah.
Yeah. So but honestly, like that group and like Coach Jay and our other analysts like JB and Coach Mal, like they're great guys, and it's a really fun place to be for sure.
That's awesome, dude. That's now, like so did you long snap in high school as well?
Yeah, so I learned how to do it. My dad actually long snapped in like high school and middle school. And
Okay.
on like my middle school team, he's like, "Hey, like just try this." And he's like, and I tried it and I like fell in love with it.
Yeah.
It's so satisfying. And then in high school, I was more of a basketball kid, like all the way through.
Yeah.
Wanted to go play basketball. I was 6'1" in 8th grade. So I was thinking, okay, I'll grow a little bit more. Never did. So basketball didn't really pan out for me. But then like my junior year of high school, one of my football coaches was like, "Hey, like this long snapping thing, you go to college for this." And I was like, "No way." And then went to a few camps, found myself like 6th in the country for my class, and then Michigan called, and that was a crazy story in itself. But Michigan called, and then went there, worked out, met Coach Harbaugh, and they were like, "Yeah, you snapped well enough. Like, we're gonna give you an offer." And I was like, "Oh, cool." And then just being from Michigan, it's like, yeah, I'll go there for sure.
Oh, absolutely.
But
Absolutely.
yeah.
So like what was that story like? I mean, you said like that story alone was something
Oh
else.
my
I mean,
gosh. Well, so my dad and I were supposed to go to Africa on like a vacation, and
okay.
someone we were going to go with ended up getting sick, so we couldn't go. So then I was home that week, and that's when the special teams quality control guy at the time, Tyler Brown, texted me and was like, "Hey, we saw your film from Andrew Robinson, who actually was like my coach who played here as well. He had given my film to him, and he's like, "Hey, we saw your film. We want you to come in and snap. Can you be here tomorrow?" And I was like, "Well, yeah, I got nothing to do. I'm not in Africa now." So I shot over there, and I actually was snapping to Tommy Doman, who's the punter now.
Oh,
He
okay.
was a sophomore at the time at Orchard Lake St. Mary, and just did that. And then it was like, normally recruiting process is like weeks long, kind of drug out. Like they're kind of like, "Oh yeah, we might offer you. We might offer you." But this was like, I'd met him 2 days ago over the phone, and then I was there. And then just like to get an offer that quick, it was like not really heard of. And it was like, I heard that and I'm like, yeah, okay, like I'll be here. Like there's no other place I'd rather be. And it was just like God kind of all just worked it out for me. And I was like, sure, I'm going to roll with it. And
Yeah.
I'm so glad I had done it. Cause I mean, I genuinely would not trade the past 4 years for like any amount of money. I don't think.
Absolutely. I mean, and like I was saying before we went on air, watching your mom's post is so satisfying to me because I feel like I'm living, vicariously through them, and
Yeah.
like how much like just footage they get of you. And I mean, like I said, when I went to Rutgers, and I saw you and I'm like 45, I know him.
Yeah.
So I mean, and just seeing your ride through this whole entire journey has been so satisfying, and the fact that I knew you from when you were like little Greg, and seeing you as a Michigan Wolverine national champion, I mean, it makes me so proud to say that I grew up with you, and that that you and I have had like a certain bond playing football and going to church with each other. I mean, it's seeing you guys win that, I mean, just made me so happy for you guys.
Yeah.
But and especially for you too. But it's just awesome. And as you were saying, like with your mom, like she's like your number one fan.
Yeah, she is. Yeah.
I mean,
I'm so thankful for my parents. Like they truly have like given me the world. Like I can't think of a time where I didn't have at least one parent at an event, and like it was rare that I didn't have them both there. Like my dad, my mom, like they've done so much for me. They've gone to every away game. Like they drove out to Nebraska this year. Like just so much stuff. Actually, Nebraska was the one game I think my mom missed. She had the Walagora's wedding. So, but other than that, like they're always there, and like they're just so supportive, and like my parents never gave me any pressure of like, hey, you have to go play a sport in college. It was like they're like, do whatever makes you happy, work hard at whatever you do, and like it'll all work out, and it has, and it's been great too, and it's cool now. Like my sister has Avery, her daughter, so my niece, and it's just like seeing her. She's like she loves football. My sister
Oh, yeah.
said one time the like theme music for whatever it was that we were on that day, like college football or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Avery ran out of her room and said, "Where's Uncle Greg? Is he playing football?" And it's just like, I just hope she has good stories. She can be like, "Yeah, my uncle played in college football," you know.
Yeah.
So it's so cool. It's great, like having them there all the time, and the pictures. I'm glad you enjoy them because she takes a lot of them, and sometimes I'm like, Mom, like, please stop, like, just let me enjoy it.
I scroll right through them. I love every one of them. I'm like, there's one of them snapping. Oh, that's a good photo of the family.
Liking it, commenting.
Absolutely. And then I don't know if it was your sister or your mom, but somebody had posted a video of I think it was before the national championship, but it was Avery saying, "Go blue, go Uncle Greg,"
Yeah,
or something like that.
it's just odd. Like, yeah, and she's like 3 years old, and she's just like, she's there. She's so smart. I think she honestly might be smarter than me right now. Like, as soon as she gets the numbers thing down, like she's there, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's so cool, and like having Avery come to some of the games and like be able to kind of just like see her after, like it's so cool. And like, honestly too, like having my sister at the games, like that's awesome when her and her husband can be there, because it's like I don't get to see them too much because with football I don't really have time. So
Right.
whenever they get to come down there, it's great. It's so much fun.
Yeah, and it seems like Avery always is smiling when she's around you and just enjoys every time that you get to see her. I mean, next to your mom, I want to say, Avery could possibly be, number 1.5 fan,
I think so. I think she passes my dad for sure, just because my dad, I think, likes to sleep a little bit. So
Yeah.
I've heard from other parents sometimes it'd be third quarters, falling asleep a little bit in the stands, but
Yeah.
He pays for a lot of the stuff, so he's still a big fan, But still have his credit card, so I got to give him some credit.
Yeah, exactly. So, besides football, what are you studying now at Michigan?
So I'm getting a sport management degree, which is basically
Okay.
a business degree, field of sports, and then a minor from the business school, and then I'll probably get a master's in business management from the school of business too. So
Okay.
just kind of doing business. We'll see where it takes me, and it's
Yeah,
been really
'cause
cool. Go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say, yeah, because you've definitely been weren't you into DECA back in high school, the business club?
Yeah, I was in it a little bit. In high school, I was like, I just kind of bounced around so much. I could never really nail one thing down that I wanted to do. Like, did a little bit of theater. I wasn't as good as your brother at it, but we still tried that a little bit, which was fun. But yeah, I kind of bounced around everywhere. But I think the coolest thing, and this is one of the huge benefits of NIL, is being around the donors and seeing what they do for a living and like the scale at which they do it. It's been so cool to just like pick their brains about it and do internships with them and kind of learn like the world of business when you're still in college, because before NIL you couldn't even talk to those guys. It was like a big no-no. So now that NIL is open, like we actually have like internship like programs where guys can go in, learn about finance, learn about real estate, and actually connect with these guys. So when we leave college, it's not like, hey, you just gave 4 years to a football program, you have no work experience, now you have to go into the real world. Now it's like, hey, you did 4 years of football sprinkled in with donors and doing things like that, where you're getting business experience, you're making connections. Now you can have a little bit more seamless of a transition into the real world.
Right.
Which is, it's huge. And that's, I think, one of the big things that Michigan offers is like the alumni network and the people that are willing to help you, everyone in that program and outside of that program that is a supporter is like, will do anything.
Yeah.
So it's been,
That's awesome, dude. So, so say if football, isn't in the cards for the pros, is there a certain avenue that you would like to test out with
yeah,
business?
there's so many. That's my issue. I'm all over the place. So there's like, I
Yeah.
think wealth management would be really cool. What my dad does. I've seen him help so many people. I think that'd be really fun to do.
Okay.
Real estate is definitely interesting to me. And then like franchise sales, I think is pretty cool too. So I'm all over the place. I'll probably take a few years and kind of dip my toes in everything and then see what I'm best at and then just kind of go with
Right.
that. But right now it's trying to focus on football, trying to see where that can take me and see what doors it can open for
Absolutely.
sure. Yeah.
Exactly, because I mean, you and I have both been told this multiple times. Being able to play football is a gift. It is something that can easily be taken away, and
Yeah.
enjoy every moment, enjoy the work, enjoy the grind, and enjoy the good moments, and even enjoy the bad moments, and learn from them. Because with football, it definitely teaches you about life. That I can definitely say, as a 26-year-old man, like football, definitely teaches you about life and the adversity and everything like that.
Oh yeah.
Because I mean, it has leaps and bounds and everything like that. But I mean, you know,
Yeah.
definitely keep
And
playing as much as long as you can. But
I will say too, and like I remember being in high school and having like the old guys come back and talk to us, be like, "Oh, there's nothing I'd rather do than get out on the field with you guys." And I'm like, "All right, like that's bullshit. I don't know." But like,
right,
I mean, I've done it in college and like high school football. I still think is like the most like special experience I've had, just because of the fact that like first off, like there's not as much pressure, which is nice. Like I remember putting so much pressure on myself with high school sports. If I go back, I would just enjoy it and play and have
yeah,
fun. But like those are the guys, you're sitting in math class with, you're sitting in English class with, all of you guys together. You're wearing the jersey on Friday. And like the Friday night lights is like that really is something special that I wish I would have enjoyed more of. Cause I was like my senior year, I was kind of, it was COVID. I was like, I'm kind of done. I'm ready to go. But I do wish, that's my one thing. I wish I could go back and enjoy those Friday night lights with the boys one more time, because like those guys are, that was, it's so different, and but like you said, like the lessons you learn are just so important, even at that level, like
yeah,
every level. And it just teaches you more and more and more. And
yeah,
like the grit and like the ability to like face adversity, like you said, is like such an important thing in life. And I think sports and as a whole is just can teach you so much about that persistence. It's everything.
yeah. And I mean, like you said, I mean, I would give anything to play one more time with my senior class and just that whole group of guys. And because I mean, granted, I don't play football anymore, and every time that I like watch college football or high school football or even the pros, sometimes like I get that itch, and I'm like,
Mhm.
oh, I'm like, if only I had the chance to play one more time, just one more game. That's all I
Yeah.
want. And you just miss it, because it's an amazing game, both for many different reasons, and the fact that you get to continue on and play college ball, I mean, that's amazing. I mean, and I've asked this to another buddy of mine who I played ball with, and he kind of gave me a little breakdown. But figured since you're on, what is the difference between playing college ball and playing high school ball?
Yeah, man, there's a lot of differences. I would
Yeah,
say I think the time commitment for college ball is like one of the biggest things. Um, the pressure, I would say, like the stress of it is a lot more. Um, the public scrutiny I would say is a lot more. Um, yeah, but also it's just it's I mean the speed of the game obviously is just completely different. Like the guys you're around completely different. But I would say like it's a completely different animal, completely different. Like the time management thing I'm talking about, it's like we're in the building. I get done with class at 1:30. I'm in that building until 7 o'clock every day. You know, so it's like, I mean, that's not a high school thing, and it's just
Right.
it's the commitment. Like you have to love like the process of it, and like you have to love going in every day and like finding one little thing to do a little bit better. Because in high school, it's like if you're a good athlete, if you kind of know what's going on, like you can get away with kind of doing what you need to do, but like not everything. But
Mhm.
in college, you can't survive if it's just, oh, I kind of just enjoy this and like hanging out with my buddies.
Right.
So
Yeah,
I
you
was
actually
saying,
got to put in the work. You got to put in more
yeah,
work than the next guy.
yeah, because there's thousands of people that want to be where you're at, and it's like
Yeah.
that's the thing too is like you're very like it's tough to say. It's like you're very replaceable. Like everyone can be replaced to an extent, obviously, but it's like knowing that you kind of put pressure on yourself. Like okay, like if I'm not taking advantage of this, someone will, and you just got to keep going. And I think too, like the coaching is a lot different. Um, the coaches in college are like they're great, but they're also like they expect a lot more from you because at the end of the day they're feeding their family off of your performance.
Right.
You know, like in high school it's like you got to have a good season, you don't want to get public scrutiny, but at the end of the day like what's a high school coach making that's like it's not like they're paying all of their bills with that.
Yeah.
But these college coaches it's like hey, this is their career, like this is everything that they've worked for. And I couldn't imagine being a coach where it's like hey, I'm going to put a game plan in and I have to rely on 18 to 23 year olds to do it. And if they don't do it well, it's all going to fall back on me. It's
Oof. See, now that you put that into perspective, that just makes me think like, man, like that's something else because like with high school coaches, they just got to deal with the parents, they got to deal with, the kids that think that they're all that in a bag of chips and, and try and correct that and but, with college coaches, yeah, that seems like something that is way more stress. I feel like everybody's way more stressed out at college from the coaches to the players.
yeah. What and what's funny too is all that stuff you mentioned that high school coaches have to deal with.
Yeah.
College coaches deal with all that stuff too.
Yeah.
Freshmen coming in, hey, I want to play right away. Hey, it's this and like there's freshmen that do play right away, but and that's one thing too. I will say is like, I mean, even for me, it's like you go from being good athlete in high school, like kind of being the guy,
Yeah.
top of the totem pole, like senior, all this stuff, captain, whatever it is. Then all of a sudden it's like, oh, you're a freshman in college. Congratulations. You are the lowest guy on the totem pole. Like, go ask EQ for a new pair of cleats. They'll be like, yeah, we'll get you a pair in a week because, we just gave you a pair and you're a freshman. Like, you haven't earned that.
Uh,
It's interesting. But, like, I think that's one of the coolest things too is it being here for 4 years and reflecting on it all. Like, you have the ability to like build rapport with your coaches and build that trust over 4 years. Where in high school, you really don't have that. You have a coach, 3 years if you're really good, 4 years if you're really good on varsity, right? But
yeah.
how often do you see that? So
Yeah.
it's like it's much more of you have much more relationship with your coaches, I would say, in college as well.
Oh yeah, big time. And as you were saying, like you're the big fish in a little small pond, and then all of a sudden you're the little fish in a big ocean kind of thing.
Yeah.
And the fact that you're at the bottom of the totem pole, that's something else. Now, what is it like to be redshirted?
Um, it's interesting. So my freshman year, it wasn't really a red shirt because it was COVID.
Okay.
So everyone kind of knew this season, like it matters, but it's not eating up anybody's eligibility. And so that was kind of like, okay, like this year was weird. But then the year after that, first off, being behind Wags is like, it's an incredible, like him and I think like we're two like very, very good long snappers, and like him and I like always are competing, which is great. So it was interesting like to be behind him for that first year, because I knew like I wasn't like ready to play my sophomore year where I had to redshirt. So I kind of understood it and was like, okay, like I have to sit back, I have to learn, I have to grow and continue to develop. And it's hard to keep that motivation when you're not going to play all year. Like you're kind of just like, okay, like I'm here, I'm practicing, I'm doing everything, but I'm still growing. I haven't even gotten to the point yet where like I can show people that I'm ready. Like I would equate it to like a seed. Like that seed when it's germinating underneath the dirt, nothing, you don't see anything, but like it's still growing underneath, it's still kind of getting up there. Then eventually you'll break through that ground and people will see, oh, there's something here that we can work with. And that's what I think the redshirt experience was like for me. It was like just knowing that I'm still going, I'm under the radar. No one really, like is expecting me to be ready yet, but you have to still prepare. And it was weird too for me because I was still the backup when I was redshirting. It wasn't like it was a complete, hey, go do your thing for this year. We'll talk to you next year. It was like, hey, you need to keep getting better and like, don't plan on playing, but be ready to play if we need you. So that was, a weird thing too. So last year when Wags got hurt against Iowa, I remember kind of getting thrown in there and being like, oh boy, here we go. Like this is it. Like this is when I got to break through the ground and kind of show people that I've actually been doing something the past 2 years.
Yeah.
Which was, that was a crazy game because it was like, he ran down and like there was nothing, like no hint at it was going to happen, right? So when I'm on the sideline for a game, I have my hat on, just kind of like I got a clipboard taking stats for the specialist, and then all of a sudden we have a punt and I'm watching. I see Wags run down, and I kind of see him get in on the tackle, and I'm excited because like that's a long snapper's dream, getting it on a tackle. So I'm like, let's go, Wags, there we go. And I see him grab his knee, and I'm like, oh no. That's not good. And I kind of see him hobble off, and I'm like, oh shit, I don't even know where my helmet is right now on the sideline. So then I'm like kind of running around, like find my helmet, put it on, and Moody was giving me a bunch of crap. She's like, yeah, you changed after that. You got a little more nervous. My eyes got real wide, and they were all like, dude, just calm down. You've done it 1,000 times in practice. So I was able to get in there and get the job done for the rest of the year. But yeah, it was one of those things. It was just, you never know when your number is going to get called, and you just have to be ready.
Yeah.
So,
dude, that's so funny. It's crazy to think about how Moody was just so vocal on the specialties, and now look at him, like he's like just booting it,
Yeah.
Just
and him and Brad, like honestly, couldn't be happier for those two because they were both such solid guys, so experienced in that room. Like I remember coming in as a freshman and thinking like, wow, these are the old guys in the room. And then they were there for 3 more years. It's like, wow, you guys are really old guys in the room. Like, I think when we lost them, it was like a combined, I think 7 and 9 years of experience that we lost in those two when they left, which was crazy. And like, yeah, Moody and Brad, like Brad was, I think, much more like the vocal leader, kind of herded us to where we had to go. But yeah, Moody was right there because he was like one of those lead by example. He's like, I make my kicks, and like we all just looked up to those two because they were just such good leaders.
Yeah, that's something. And the fact that he got to mess with you a little bit, that was definitely something that was I would think that would be something special. Now know that, like, now you can be like, yep, I hung with Jake Moody and he cracked jokes at me and this and that. So
and the specialists golf a lot together too, and I'll say Moody and Brad are pretty good golfers. So
are they?
We'd get out there at the university course, and I mean in the summers that's all we do. We have one workout, and then it's golf. So yeah, they're pretty good golfers. He's been trying to get me out to California. Now that I got a little bit of time, I think I got to get out there. But,
yeah, exactly. Yeah, maybe go see him play or something like that.
Yeah.
Maybe see if he can give you a little hookup,
Yeah, I hope so. But yeah, it's funny, like those guys, like Moody coming back, and that was one of the stressful things for me as playing that year was like, I knew it was kind of their last year playing, like they were going to go. And it was, being the long snapper, we don't get noticed that much, but we have to do our job so they can do their job well.
Yeah.
So it's like Moody, game against Illinois, I think it was 54-yarder against TCU. It's like I had to go in there and do my job so he could do his job well. And Brad punting,
Right.
like I had to get it to him good so he can do that. So that was the thing that I put so much pressure on myself because I knew they had what it took to play in the NFL, and I didn't want to be the person holding them back from that.
Right.
So I remember that Illinois game. It was like, first off, that game was so cold. It was like rainy, windy. And I remember before that game winner, we're sitting out there, and Coach Jay, our special teams coach, is sitting there with us, and it's looking like we're going to kick it. We're kind of sitting there, and we're real serious. And Coach Jay just looks at us. He goes, I've never been this cold in my life. And we were all like, okay, yeah, we feel the same way. I'm running out there. I got like my hands in my pants. I try to keep them warm right before I have to snap it. And then made that. And it was like, oh, like that was great. I still give Moody some crap. He had a shiesty on after that game.
Yeah.
And he's like jumping around in it. I'm like, dude, you look like Buzz Lightyear. Like, so fun. He's got his nose pressed up against. I'm like, dude, what are you doing?
Every time he would kick, he'd be like, to infinity and beyond.
Exactly, yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. It's great.
Oh, that's so funny. So what would you say to an incoming freshman, or even let's go a little bit more into what would you tell a high school football player that has dreams to be a Michigan Wolverine?
Yeah. Man. I tell them they have to love it. I'd say you have to find something you love about it, and just everyone says it, but you just got to work hard. You just got to work so hard all the time, and don't be afraid to try new things, and play different positions and do that, because you never know what the team's going to need you to do. And so just be a well-rounded athlete, play other sports, do that, and just trust that your hard work will pay off, because if you don't, it won't work. But yeah, you got to trust in yourself and trust the process, and just keep chipping away every day, and make, like we say, make every day count.
Yeah.
But and then an incoming freshman that's already kind of coming in, I would say surround yourself with the right people. I know it talks about it in the Bible. It's like just you're a reflection of the 5 people you spend the most time with, and iron sharpens iron. And I've seen it go both ways. I've seen a guy attach himself to 3 really solid upperclassmen and grow up and be a player and be able to kind of work through all of the trials of college. And I've seen it go the other way too. You get in the wrong group of guys, you kind of don't do what you have to do, and then all of a sudden you find yourself kind of being told, hey, I think there's other options for you that are going to be better for you. It happens. So
yeah,
I would just say find the right guys and keep your head down that freshman year and work hard, and don't expect too much either. Like I remember coming in, I was like, all the specialists gave me crap. I'm like, man, like when are we gonna get some gear? Like I want some new shoes. I want a hoodie. And they're like, dude, it's not about the gear. And coming in, I was like, no, like it's about the gear. But now I can tell you, I'll get you a shirt. I got so many shirts, I don't need them. I send probably a box home every few months with my mom, just like, hey, I don't need this anymore. But yeah, it's one of those things, because I know for me, it's so funny looking back. It's like one of the main reasons I want to play college football was the gear and like the clout and all that. And I'm like, now that like being a senior, it's like, that's not the stuff that matters. It's the guys, it's the lessons, it's all that. So you got to kind of figure out what that intrinsic motivation, I would say, because that external stuff doesn't last longer than a month. And then you just kind of have to find it within yourself to keep working and keep, pushing. And that's one of those things, like you said, that you can apply to anything in your life. You might want a great job because the paycheck's great or whatever, but then it's like that paycheck gets old eventually, and then it's like,
why are you there?
yeah, what's your meaning in life? Like, is the only reason that you're here is to collect a paycheck and pay your bills, or do you want to help other people? Do you want to grow, your business to help your family? What is it? And I think that's one of the things with football that it forces you to think about, because, on a 5 a.m. lift on a Friday, it's like, you're not thinking about, man, I'm doing this for a hoodie. Like, you can't think that, because if I thought that, I'd just walk out the doors, be like, I don't need that hoodie that bad. I'll go buy one at Dick's down the road.
Right.
You got to think, okay, like, I'm doing this because God's given me the opportunity to. I'm doing this because my mom needs something to post on Facebook, and that's going to be me at a game.
But I mean, and what was it? I remember one of my coaches saying, don't be on the team for the number on the back or the name on your back, and don't be here just for the jersey. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like you said, like the hoodie, okay,
Yeah.
and the different merch and stuff like that. Be here, play for the guy to your left and the guy to your right, and like you said before, it's about the experiences, and it's about the relationships that you have with not only just your teammates but with your coaches and the community and everything like that, and the fact that you get to be represented for the name that's on the front.
Yeah, and what's funny is Coach Harbaugh, we have a name for that in the program, a guy that's just kind of there.
Uh-huh.
It's a steak eater. And because we get, after a win, victory meal on Monday after practice is steak.
Oh.
So, and it's like, we got some steak eaters on the team. And like, I used to get called a steak eater as a freshman because I just wanted gear. And it's like the guys that don't really do much, but they want the steak. It's, so yeah, it's one of those things you just learn as you go, and you kind of feel it out and you learn it. But yeah. And I will say too, like when you play for the name on the front of the jersey, right?
Yeah.
The name on the back helps too. It's like Coach Harbaugh says, it's like what's good for the bee is good for the hive, and what's good for the hive is good for the bee. So it's like, if Michigan's doing well, I'll do well too. I wouldn't be on this if we went 2-10, whatever it would be. Like we don't need this guy. You got better people to talk to than that. But it's everyone working for that front will just make everything so much better. And it's true. It really is. And Coach Harbaugh talks about it like the Michigan train. It's always going. It's just going forward all the time. He's like, you either jump on it and get on it and go with us and help us, or you can miss it. Someone else will jump on. So, and it really is. It's like that, and it's cool to see. It's a little scary seeing how, like, because you always like to think like, oh, like if I leave, like they'll miss me. Like I'm sure like they'll always be like, oh, I wish Greg was still here, or I wish someone was still here. But it's like someone new comes in, and it just keeps going and going and going and going.
And
like,
that train keeps on moving forward. Yeah.
Yeah. And you can ride it for 4 or 5 years, but then, your ticket expires. You got to get off and stop doing your thing. The only thing you can do is remember the times with your boys and hanging out, and just hope you did as much as you can to help the team and help the legacy of Michigan.
Now, so like with homecoming week, do you get to see the guys that have played in the past and everything like that?
Yeah. So the guys that come around and do that, which is great. You see them, but what's funny is like, you never are talking about like, oh, hey, remember that one time in the game where this happened? It's like, you're talking about like the funny stuff that you remember. Like, hey, remember when Coach Herb, our strength coach, will like pick someone out randomly and tell them to get in the cold tub before a workout? Or, hey, remember when, you overslept that one workout and ran in with no shoes on? Or like, just like the little stuff like that, like the funny things.
Yeah.
Like that's the stuff that that's priceless. It's priceless.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think even now, like I can't remember a single detail from playing. I couldn't tell you like, oh, we beat this team because we did this one play and whatever.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
I could tell you probably what happened afterwards, of the funny stuff that happened afterwards.
Yeah,
And
exactly. The locker room, all that stuff. Yeah, it's
yes, or even the bus ride back. You know, like I got a couple of stories on that one, and you know, it's absolutely hilarious. But I mean, I can totally understand that because it's not because when you're in the game, you're focused and you're just worried about the game to where
yeah,
um the celebration afterwards. I'm pretty sure you can, granted I know it's really fresh in your mind, but say like 5 years from now, you could probably say detail for detail what it was like in the locker room after the national championship win. Like the
yeah.
shenanigans and the different guys that, were just acting,
hmm
goofy and whatnot.
And I can tell you too, like from the past 2 years when we've lost in the playoffs, like I can tell you about those nights too. And those nights are, I think, much more defining. I
Yeah.
remember being in Miami playing Georgia, and like Georgia coming out, like they were a team. I remember like them walking out on the field and being like, oh wow, like they're legit. And after
Yeah.
that game, we were driving back to our hotel. Everyone's crushed, right? Like no one's happy.
Yeah.
And it was New Year's Eve. And as we're driving back, going over this bridge, kind of saw all of Miami, and we saw all the fireworks going off for New Year's. And I remember sitting on the bus and being like, fuck, like this is the worst feeling ever. Just gut wrenching.
Mm.
Right? Next morning, getting on the flight, flying back to being like, oh my gosh, can't believe this. And then last year, TCU, I remember sitting in the locker room and everyone's just being like, just dumbfounded, like what just happened? And then like, I mean, those two games, like, I think those two games in Ohio or in Michigan State, like losing those games, like those 3 games, like those hurt more than anything. Not Ohio State, Michigan State. I said Michigan State, right? But
Yeah, you said Michigan
State stung, just stung when we lost that game. All my like everyone I went to high school went there, and
Yeah.
seeing all their Snapchat stories after the game, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, like. There's a saying that we always talk about. It's like, if you think the sacrifice is too much of a cost, just wait till you get the bill for regret. It's just like
that's a good one. That's good.
And it's true because, and Coach Herb always talks about. I could talk about Coach Herb for hours, man. This guy is like, he's like just on such a pedestal. He's unbelievable, but he's like, all of those things, like, you don't want to look back and think, wow, I didn't prepare the way I should have.
Yeah.
Wow, I should have gone a little bit harder. You want to leave everything out there on the practice field. So when you go into a game, after a game, win or lose, you're like, I did everything I could to help this team. Because you just don't get many chances at it. And it's what the goals that we're working for as a team are so hard to get to. You have to be on it every time. You can't drop a game. You have to go undefeated. You have to win every single rep.
Yeah. So like, what is, I mean, you said that you could talk about Coach Harbaugh for like hours, but what was it like during halftime, either against Alabama, Washington, both,
Yeah.
even Ohio State? What was that like?
So I will say, like, in the locker room, the specialists kind of like, we do our own thing.
Mm.
So we get in there, offense, defense meets, they're doing all their adjustments.
Okay.
And kind of coaching. And then like we're kind of in the corner talking, kind of staying relaxed, doing our thing. We'll get our nutrition staff is unbelievable. So like cold games, we'll have like some cider, some broth, PB&J. It's like the best thing in the world. So when those games are 4 hours, you got to have a snack in there.
Yeah. Especially with you big boys. Absolutely.
Yeah. But yeah, I say snack. It's like 3 peanut butter and jellies and like, but
that's a
snack.
snack.
So we'll kind of like sit there and like calm down and say, okay, great. Like warm up, do whatever, talk, see what we need to do. And then we'll go out early and kind of do our specialist warm up before the whole team gets out. But it's like, it's a very calm, it's a calm place to be. Like it really is. Like we're kind of the guys that are just like, okay, like we're good. Alabama, it was a little bit more of like, hey, we gotta lock in here.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're always we always try and stay not too high, not too low, just kind of right in that middle area. Because at the end of the day, our job's consistency. So if you
Right.
want to perform consistent, you have to be consistent. But yeah, I will say, like, the locker room is at halftime. It can be pretty crazy. But like some games, it's always the same. It's always the same. Just coaches make adjustments. Everyone does what they need to do. You're told once, and then boom, we're back out on the field and we're just going. It's an operation for sure. It's
Now,
cool.
does Coach Harbaugh, like, before you guys all go out, does he, like, or even before, like, when everybody's in there, does he, like, be like, hey guys, like, we're doing okay, like, it kind of gives you a little boost? Or is it like, he kind of just oversees all the other coaches taking, like, you got the defensive coach over here, you got the offensive coach, you got
Yeah.
your specialties, and Coach Harbaugh just oversees everything? Like, what's that like?
Yeah, I think from what I see, I'm not all the way in it.
Yeah.
Coach Harbaugh is obviously around like the QBs and the offense a little bit more than the defense. But
Yeah.
yeah, he's kind of just over everything and kind of. I mean, all of our coordinators, all of our coaches are so good. It's like they just do what they need to do. They're like doctors, in a surgery. You just go in, you do exactly what you need to do, you button them up, and then they're good.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like what we do. Like, you see what's going on. Hey, they're running this. We're just going to change this. Boom, good. So it is pretty quick. Like, before the game, Coach Harbaugh will do it. And then after the game, obviously, we'll sing the victors, do a prayer, all that stuff. It's really cool. It's nice. I remember the one time, it's probably my most vivid memory of Coach Harbaugh is that 2-4 season. It was either Penn State or Wisconsin when we lost. And he's in the locker room after the game. He's like, we're a bad football team. We're bad. We got to figure out a way to be good. We can't win games like this. We're bad. And it's just like he's unapologetic. He just said what it was, and he was right, and obviously it got changed around, but yeah, he's definitely the captain of the ship.
Yeah. Yeah. And, especially with that, Steele signing thing, like, he took it on the chin and he was just like, okay. He's like, you guys want to penalize me? Okay. Out. And then your guys' offensive coordinator, if
Coach
I'm not,
Moore.
Coach Moore steps in, and I think he did a pretty good job.
Yeah.
He held the ship, and you guys kept winning, and you guys kept just doing business.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one thing that I kind of knew was something special about this team, was like, didn't matter, granted the waves shook the ship, but the crew still kept on working, was still focused on getting to that destination.
Yeah. And I'd say too, like I said with Coach Herb, I think that is 100% to his credit, the way that our team was able to just keep doing our thing, because since my freshman year, he has always talked about, he calls it jammed up. You don't want to get jammed up. I don't, and he impersonates this like little coward being like, no, this doesn't work for me. And he's like, that is not us. And like, as much as he is a strength coach, he's a psychology coach as well. Like, we'll do stuff like, we'll have a team workout and everyone will be rolling out. So 150 rollers, we're all kind of rolling out on the field, getting ready. And we'll have a playing card face down next to us. Pick up your card, and he'll just say, all right, 7 of hearts. Everyone with a 7 of hearts come with me. So that's, 4 guys.
Right.
All of them go to the cold tub, jump in the cold tub, and then do the whole workout. And it's just like, you just don't know what's going to happen. You never know. We do a really good job of like, it's like a controlled chaos of like our scheduling and like what the lift is. Like, they don't really tell us, so we always have to be on our toes and ready. But that's Coach Herb's, like, his ability to just train us to just be ready to go at all times and do whatever we need to do is the reason that this year we were able to do what we did, just because of the fact that we've been trained and hardened to just do whatever we need to do. It truly is like, and I talked to him before the national championship, and I thanked him because I was like, my freshman year, I didn't understand you. I didn't understand why you did all this. And I finally now, after this year, see it. I see why you coach the way you do, and I see why it works now, you know, and obviously like that was my fault for being, you know, so cocky to think I knew more than this guy. But yeah, like, and he's like, yeah, you can't, he said, you can't prepare for an emergency when it's already happening.
Yeah.
So the past 4 years was just us preparing for something like this to happen, or, you know, a coach, like, I mean, Coach Hart, last year, you know, he got, you know, got shaken up in a game and had to go to the hospital. It's like,
Yeah.
that's tough for a team to bounce back from and be able to play,
Yeah.
you know, or Zinner this year,
Yeah.
you know, like for us to score the next play or 2 plays after, whatever it was, it's like, that's all the mentality that we've been just trained to have of like, it doesn't matter. We just need to keep doing our jobs.
That's, yeah. I mean, the fact that you guys, yeah. I mean, exactly the point. I mean, like last year, like when that happened, like you guys were still focused enough to finish the game out and everything. And, you know, even this year with, you know, the different obstacles that you guys had to go to. Absolutely. To where you guys had to just stay focused the whole entire time and just get business done, take care of business and everything. Um, so I figured, you know, we've talked about football, about Michigan so far, but let's go back down memory lane.
Let's do it.
So little Greg, you know, like what was your experience like, you know, at Stony Creek Church, where we used to go to church?
Man, I was a menace there. I really was. I just remember always getting in trouble because I would yap, man. I would just talk and talk and talk. And I remember hanging out with like Hunter and Taylor and Michael and like all those guys and just like
Yeah.
just getting like just being dumb little kids running around and hanging out. Pastor Jason, you know, like
Yeah.
it was great though. Like my dad always says like it takes a village to raise a kid, and like I would say like that was one of like the main parts of that village was like that church community and like the people there, because
Oh yeah.
you know, like, they kind of helped me like come into my own, and you know, that youth group was so much fun. It was great. It was great. And it's like, I remember like looking at you, I was like, man, like this guy's like, you were bigger than me. And I was like, wow, like, you know, you kind of intimidated me. I was like, man, this guy's old. Like this guy's like cool. Like, I just like, I want to be like them one day. And like, it's so funny to think now it's like this.
Now you're
Now
bigger
we're-
than me.
Yeah, I guess so. It's those 3 PB&Js every Saturday.
I know,
you
right?
know? But yeah, it was so much fun there, and like I remember doing like those little like formal dances or whatever it was, or award shows we had.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Just like, and all like, I think the funniest thing was like all those like little church relationships that would go on. You know, all like the rumors like, oh, these two are like dating, and oh, like 2 weeks later, it's like, oh, well, now they're actually with different people. It's like,
Yeah.
and you just think it's the whole world at the time. You know, you think everything, it just, that 26 and Jewel is like the center of the universe,
Right.
where like it just matters the most. But yeah, it was great. Now I love going back to and seeing like Hayden Bills is like, he's like 6'4", freak athlete now, just
Yeah.
a stud. Like it's so cool to see like the other people like grow up and like be doing like fun things with their lives, and like you're doing this. It's just like cool to see everyone like doing their own thing. It's
Absolutely. I mean, I like same. I mean, you know, you got. I mean, well, you have your sister who joined the Marines. You know, little Christina. You know, little petite Christina, and now she's a freaking badass.
Yeah,
you
it
know?
is.
And she's a mom now. Like,
Yeah,
it's like what?
and then you have like Maddie Walagora going to play do gymnastics at Alabama. It's like,
Alabama of all
it's
places,
crazy.
Alabama. It's like, dang.
I was texting her before the game because they came out to the Ohio State game, their family. So I saw them after the game and all that. And I was like texting her before the game. I'm like, hey, like, who you rooting for this team? And she's like, Roll Tide. I'm like, okay, nice. Like, I get it. But
You should have texted her and been like, go blue after the Bama game.
oh, I did.
Oh, you did? Oh, good.
Yeah. Sorry. But
That's so funny. I mean, and yeah, like the relationships that you have. I mean, I was texting back and forth with Kristen Beckel
yeah,
and trying to get her on because she's doing. She has. She's the owner of this healthcare company, and of course, with her background in being a RN,
yeah,
she's doing this thing and it seems like it's going really well. Like she has a good following, and I would love to ask her questions about it, and and have her on here. But and just seeing even Hunter and his brother, and
yeah.
they're doing really well, and just seeing the growth of everybody that has
Hmm.
that we all grew up with, like the majority of the guys went off to the military, or some are doing different things,
Hmm.
getting married, having kids, and it's just like, what is going
Yeah.
on? Like, I feel so old.
Well, it's so funny too. Like with the Beckles, they're, I mean, obviously Ohio State fans, like
Oh yeah,
through
yeah.
and through. So every now and then, like Miss Kristen will like DM me and be like, "Hey, like, like Ohio State. Obviously, they're rooting for Ohio State, but they're like, every other week we root for you." I'm like, I know that takes a lot for you to say, so thank you. Like,
Yeah,
it's great. But yeah, and I mean, like Mr. Beckel too. Like, I remember messing around with him on the basketball court, and
yeah.
Hayden and all them. And actually, it's funny now. Hayden works for FCA for the colleges.
Oh, really?
And so we've been texting a little bit. We're going to try and meet and do that, some stuff together. So
Awesome.
it's so cool to see, because I remember like all you older guys, like I don't know what it was, but like you guys all just like intimidated me like so much. Like I don't know why. I think it was just because I was like smaller and like younger. But like I remember like looking up to you guys and being like, oh my gosh, like.
Yeah.
And so it's
And it was always funny because, like, looking at you, like, as an upperclassman, we would be like, "Oh, that's Christina's kid brother."
yeah, exactly, exactly. Just a little kid running around.
Yeah, trying to trying to fit in and everything.
Yeah,
It was almost adorable to watch that. Like, I remember, what was it? Either it was Christina's graduation party, or it was um or it was like a church thing, but your parents had held it
yeah,
at your place. And I mean, just being there for the first time, I was just like, what is this? I'm like, this is like my dream, like, yard. Like, you had the pool, like, you had the, not even a pool, it was like, it was that little
the
pond.
pond. Yeah,
Yeah, you had the pond, and and everything like that, and then you had your barn with a whole basketball court. And I'm like,
yeah,
oh my gosh, this is beautiful. And it was just on a acre or two land or something like that. And
yeah. That was a fun place to grow up for sure. And like we loved having
absolutely.
those parties too, because it's like my sister and I, like she rode horses, I did sports. Like it was kind of one of those things where it's like we were never outside like throwing a football or doing anything. So like whenever it was like, hey, a group of guys are coming over, I'm like, all
Yeah,
right, we're getting the raft in the middle of the pond. We're gonna be pushing people off of that king of the raft.
yeah.
Then we're gonna go play basketball. Then we're gonna hit the zip line. Like just all that stuff was so much fun. And
It just
like
sounds like a great childhood to like grow up with, especially like when you're in middle school, high school,
yeah,
especially.
till you have to rake the leaves and do the weed whacking and get on the lawnmower.
Yeah, but that
But
that that's just maintenance.
I loved, like that's the funniest thing now is like living in Ann Arbor. Obviously, I don't have a lawn,
Yeah,
but it's like when I go home in the summer, it's like, yeah, I'll jump on the mower for 3 hours and just ride and do that. But
yeah,
yeah, like the nature part, I didn't realize how much I appreciated nature until like it wasn't like around me. Like I have woods in my backyard, but now it's like,
yeah.
oh, I have nothing. So I have a bonfire in my front yard that we do some burns at and get a TV out there and split some wood and
Right.
I do that in Ann Arbor, but it's like it's just not the same as
Right. It's
seeing
not
it.
like back home where it's it's very peaceful, and you can just relax because you have that home sweet home feeling.
Yeah, and I live right by our facility, so I've got it like staring me in the face all the time. Like, hey, you got a 6 a.m. tomorrow, just reminding me of like a beacon, and I'm like, oh, like. Like that week right before the bye week when it's like, oh, I just want a little bit of time off, and it's just like every day you walk in there, you're like, oh, just get through it. But yeah, it was funny. It was so cool. And like growing up in Romeo and that area was just great.
Yeah. Like I was talking with my brother and, as of right now, I'm kind of looking for a house, most likely by next year, probably get a house. But I was talking with my brother and I was like, like starting up as in a starter home and, in this location or that location, I said, but by the time that I'm 30, I want to be north of Hall Road. I said, but, um, I was like, I really want to have not the biggest house, but like I want to have like at least a nice house and have something to where, if I do have a family, somewhere to where I can have company, whether it be indoors, outdoors, and, not being too close to neighbors and stuff like that. And my brother goes, "Oh, you mean Romeo?" And I was like, "Yeah, that would be the main idea. That would be the main idea." But I mean, it's a small, peaceful town, and especially with the whole community coming around the school,
Yeah.
That is always special. But also the fact that, it's just that cozy kind of little small town vibe.
Yeah. It really is. And it's so funny. Like, I don't think I appreciated it when I was there. Like just like everyone knows everyone, and like you just kind of get to like do whatever. Like, such a safe place. Like you just grow
Yeah.
up. Like I remember, I can say this now because I don't park my car there anymore. But like I'd go to school and like I don't know why I did this because it was just dumb. But like turn the car off, keep the keys in the ignition, go to class. Like
Yeah.
no issues. Just such like, and it was so. And that new high school is unbelievable.
Yeah.
I had a friend of mine who was a exchange student here. She was here for one semester, and I was like, "You got to go see like a real American high school, like because it's so different there."
Yeah.
So I brought her back to Romeo. She's like, "This is like a normal high school." I'm like, "Well, like this one's really nice, but like yeah, like this is what high schools are like." And she like couldn't believe it. She was from Luxembourg, so it was like completely different. But
Yeah, I can imagine with the name like Luxembourg.
yeah, it was. Yeah, she like rode like horses on the countryside and stuff. I'm like, well, we have a tractor. Like, you can ride that if you want, but yeah, it was cool. But yeah, dude, I mean, I think that's a part of it that draws like to me too. Like you're saying, like just being able to like entertain some people and like have people over and have community at your house. I think that's such an important part of life that I think a lot of people have kind of gotten away from. Like,
Yeah.
I don't find like you don't see it that often of people just like getting together and like enjoying themselves and just like having like community and like being open with each other and like doing that. And I think Stony Creek, like as a church, I think did a great job of that. And I think that's something that I really want to prioritize in my life.
Yeah. And I mean, I will forever take those memories. And I mean, I forget who it was. It could have been Noah, honestly, Noah Paraventi. But
Yeah.
honestly, there was one time and one time only. I forget who it was with. Maybe it was with a group of people. Who knows? But we had a little wrestling match, and I'm not even kidding. Like everybody just started crowding around. It almost looked like there was an actual fight, but it wasn't. It was just us goofing around and just actually like,
Yeah.
wrestling, and like we would do the chops and do all these like extravagant things. I mean, we didn't go crazy, but we would do as much as we could within the gym floor and stuff like that, and put each other in the figure four leg lock and whatnot. And
Yeah.
and just everybody who was watching was either laughing and just looking at us like you guys are idiots, or they were cheering us on and be like, yeah. And of course, with Pastor Jason, he was always a character, and he was always somebody that that brought everybody together, and he would always have a fun time, especially with the challenges. Like I remember I had to eat, oh gosh, what was it? It was sardines.
I got up there for one of those, and it was like the worst thing ever. And I was like, I will never come up here again.
Not
those
fun.
were,
Yeah, so he would do that, and like, what was the other time? Oh, hey, I think you were a part of this. Do you remember when he had all the football players come up and the girls put makeup on them and just made us all look like ugly drag queens? I don't know if you
Yeah.
were there for that or not,
No,
but
I remember that.
yeah, that
Funny,
was something.
it's funny what you could get away with in like 2015, right?
Yeah.
So much fun.
But again, it was just, and we laughed it off, and it was fun and funny, and
It's great.
so
It was so
just
much fun.
you take these football players and you put makeup on them, you know.
And everyone loved it.
Oh, absolutely! Everybody got a kick out of it. Absolutely.
I think too, like looking back and like I hope I have time when I'm older. Like I would love to be like, like Mr. Beckold or any of those guys that were like a part of that like really helped me like figure my life out. Because like there were a lot of tough times like I went through as a kid of just like trying to figure out who I was.
Yeah.
And like that was always a place I could go and like talk to people and like learn. And I think people like that are just so important to have in your life, and like mentors of like who do you want to become, and just like seeing those people and being like, okay, like for the most part, like I can do what these people do and like end up like them, and I would be very, very happy with that.
Yeah.
Because all those guys are just, I mean, just such solid people, just all around that community. I really am thankful for all that.
Yeah. Well, dude, I mean, it's been too long since we've talked with each other.
I feel like this wasn't enough time to catch up.
Yeah.
We might have to when I get some time off now that we start again. We'll have to connect and grab a bite to eat or something, dude.
That would be absolutely fantastic. That would be absolutely wonderful. And if you want to give away a shirt or something like that, I know Hayden Kiger has been asking for some stuff for the barbershop.
Yeah.
But that would be something to where I don't even have to wear it. Just sign it and I'll put it in a frame. It'll be just fine.
I can get you some stuff.
All right.
What size shoe are you?
A shoe? Shoe. A shoe. I'm a 9.5. Depends on what it is.
I am bigger than you, huh?
Yeah, you are. I told you. You're yay taller, and then I'm also yay shorter on the foot size. So I thought,
I got a fresh pair staring me down in the closet right now, just asking to be worn by someone.
What size?
11.5.
Yep, not gonna fit me whatsoever. Donate to charity.
This is my brain still thinking you're like the older, like bigger guy, and I'm like, man, like,
nope. I bet you if we meet up somewhere, you're gonna be like,
no, I don't know.
big guy, my ass.
Maybe.
Yeah, no, but no, I mean a shirt or whatever. I mean, and not asking for much. I mean, this is absolutely wonderful. But if you want to, I'd be more than happy to take it and hang it up with pride, in my house or something like that. So
yeah, man.
But I very much appreciate it, dude. I wish you and the rest of the team the best of luck in the next coming season. And dude, I just hope that ticket prices for next year's games don't go up because of the championship win. But hey, I mean, I'll definitely try and make a game or two and watch you guys all play. So
awesome.
So, but buddy, thanks again. And I just got one more question: who's got it better than us?
Nobody.
All right, dude.
Yes, sir.